I'm Ryan Milton from Team Flex, and today we're going to look at the Romania Muscle Fest Pro and talk about figure division. We're going to look at our figure placings, our top 5, and go over why the placings landed the way they did, the judging criteria here at this event and overall, and what it means for you as a figure competitor out there wanting to do your best on stage. And that's what I do on this channel. I break comps down, give you the tools, the tips, and other things that you need to do better as a competitor. So if you're new here, make sure you subscribe, and let's get down to business. So first things first, this is our top 3 from the Romania Muscle Fest, and basically here, very competitive, big figure, lean figure look is what we're seeing, right? So this is our winner, Bahar here. This is our second place, Lena, and this is our third place, Adela, okay? And these are going to be our top 3 in this lineup. Now, what we can see right out the gate really is going to be a lot of similar angles here, but also a lot of differences, okay? So when we look at Bahar, what we see is good shoulder shape and size overall. The shoulders really take the show in her front pose. And this is very important. In figure, you want your shoulders to be very pronounced. It really does accentuate your V-taper, and you want your lats to be able to come in here to the party and match that. Whoever's going to have the most best V-taper, if you will, in figure division is going to oftentimes be really bringing that shape through and winning that class. So for her, very narrow in the waist, really big shoulders, really nice lat sweep. This is a very good V-tapered look for her. And figure division, it's all about balance. We want to see up, down, left, and right, that athlete be totally balanced, and that's what we see when we look to the lower body. So very good quad fullness and shape here, and the conditioning is very on point with this criteria, which is you want to have, these very lines coming through. You want to be able to see these muscles, have them be visible. You don't, however, want to get into the point where it's going to be too cut, too grainy, veiny, striated, those things that would be, for divisions above this, such as women's physique or women's bodybuilding. If you start to come in too lean, you're going to be scoring less favorably. You really want to have a lot of muscle and have, on par conditioning, but you don't want to be too lean, also not too soft. So what we see here is she really did nail, pretty much perfect figure conditioning at this angle from what we can see so far. When we move outside the lineup, we see, again, very similar looks in the muscle department for Lena. She's got a lot of good shoulder shape, really good look from the lats, and, this is a very nice taper waist. This is her front pose, I believe. I didn't see any pictures of her actually doing her full front, which is kind of standard figure look. So we're going to use this either way, but this is where she's at. I do think, her quads and everything does not really match her upper body as much. I think she could add a little more size there. And I do think her condition appears a bit too hard. So she comes in a little leaner, comes in a little harder. She's taking second place, really great example of criteria, but being a little bit too lean maybe is a factor, but also she is, in my opinion, slightly out of balance. Her lower body could come up just a little bit to match her shoulders. She's got very big shoulders and lats. Looking over here at Adela, now what we see, a lot of good shoulder shape here, a little bit less into the lats. It's still shapely, but, again, a little bit less of that lat effect, so it almost makes her appear a little bit more up and down with big shoulders. And then we can clearly see the lower body is just not at the same level for her, needs a little bit more muscle. Also, again, push conditioning a little bit too hard, I think. Definitely coming in leaner, start to see a little bit more of these deeper cuts, start to see some of these striations in these veins. Not what judges want to see in figure. It starts to look a little bit too much like women's physique, women's bodybuilding, and those are going to be, placings that are not necessarily favorable. However, all divisions, one from the back figure is one of them, as I say, and we will look here to see the full story. So when we look at Bahar, what we can see is very good shoulder shape, overall fullness into that rear delt, everything judges wanted to look at here. Really good width from the lats, but also very good depth. So judges do not only look for that width, they're also looking for depth, which is defined by, what you're going to see here in the traps and the scaps and the rhomboids, these different muscle groups that are going to pull through that 3D look to the back. And that's what judges want to see in this division. That's where they're going to be looking for your back pose, and that's what you want to showcase as best. Width, but also depth. Lower body wise, she pulls it off. It comes together nicely. Her lower body is not her strongest point from the back. I would say her glutes look like they could probably, fill out a little bit more, come in a little bit more to match, but overall her quads and her hamstrings do appear to be matching very nicely to that upper back dominance, but it's also a good thing for figure to kind of be a little bit dominant in that upper back and, have that be the look and be like, whoa, that's a crazy V-tapered look. Looking over here at Lena, we see again some good shoulder shape overall, a little bit less from the lats, and just a depleted look. We're not getting as much fullness from the shoulders. We're not getting as much fullness from that back. We're not getting as much, depth to the back. However, her glutes and her quads and everything look very, very good here. Again, a little too lean. We start to see some veins even and stuff into her calves and things. It just really signifies that she was a little bit too lean. I think if it was a little bit softer, maybe a little more full in the top, it would have been, maybe a first place win for her. But in this lineup, that's where she sits. Again, still very great physique, very good representation of criteria. Now, Adela, this is where we can see lower body starts to look like a little bit imbalanced from the back, right? Her glutes kind of take over the shot. It's not really what you want in figure. You want to be able to have your shoulders and your back really showcase, for the most part, the look. So, I mean, if you look at the differences between Adela here and then Bahar, our winner, it's pretty evident, right? We see all back over here, and then we see a lot of glute over here, right? This is kind of where it leads. So, just, keep in mind as a figure athlete, really focus on emphasizing your back, your V-taper as much as you can, because really that's what you are looking for in front and back, is this V-tapered look. Let's bring in now to the lineup a couple of our other athletes, our fourth and our fifth. So Bahar stays in the middle, our class winner here, and then we will move into our fourth and our fifth, which is Carolina over here, and then Hannah over here. So this is fourth and fifth place, and you start to see, some similarities, but also bigger differences, I find. Looking down the chain, it seems to be conditioning was the main thing that continued to get harder, and thus these athletes place lower. Shape-wise, they're all pretty much there, right? Carolina could use a little bit more shoulder, a little bit more lat, maybe bring in her waist just a bit more, and that would be advantageous to her. But really, I mean, she's a very symmetrical look. It looks very figure-esque. She's way too lean at this point, definitely much leaner than other athletes. We're starting to see feathering in the quads, a lot of, very kind of sunken in almost abdominals. This is from being very, very lean. So really lean look for her. But again, judges start to say, well, this is too much. We don't want that lean in figure. So you gotta, you're going to place lower. And looking over here at Hannah, very clearly, the leanest athlete in our top five. And again, placing fifth out of the top five. So again, signal from judges, don't be too lean. She has good muscle, good shape overall, could definitely kind of pull in her waist a little bit more maybe. She looks a little bit rectangular in that sense, but very, very lean. I mean, look at her quads. We can almost see it. This is like an anatomy chart of muscle going on, which is great for other, divisions, women's physique, women's bodybuilding. But for figure, it is, one of these divisions where you do not want to push that envelope too much. It will not favor you well. And we look from the back, same story, okay? We can see just how lean both of these athletes are. Carolina's very, very deep in the back, but this is from like just being overly lean, not necessarily too much muscle, not having enough fullness in the muscle. It's just from being very, very lean. So a very lean look, and then over here again, Hannah, very lean look. I mean, her glutes are feathering, okay? All things you don't want to see in figure division. And out in Romania, this is a very muscular, this is a very lean figure class. Keep in mind, though, it's not necessarily reflective of the full experience, because depending on the athletes on stage and whoever shows up those days and everything else, it's going to be different. Criteria can flux a little bit within, the athletes on stage, but it remains the same. And clearly that's echoed here again with Bahar, where you look at this, you start to see athletes getting bigger, athletes getting leaner. They're not placing high. They're not placing first. They're placing lower into the call out, and so on and so forth. So really good sign, I think, for figure division to say that, bring your best V-taper, bring the most muscle, keep conditioning on point, but don't overdo it. And that's really what we're seeing with this call out here. So great example of criteria for everybody out there. Let me know if you want more figure videos. Drop it in the comments. And if you're new here, subscribe. Got a lot more coming. Thanks for watching. Coach Rye is out.